Hello, everyone. This is Rob, and welcome to Media Awareness and another movie review. This time of the 2020 unauthorized biopic on David Bowie, Stardust. Before we go any further, I would like to remind you to click the like button if you like my content. Consider subscribing and becoming part of my YouTube family. I'd love to have you. And also, you're welcome to leave comments in that section below. And if you're not inclined to advertise your thoughts, opinions, or um, feelings in that area, you're welcome to click on the Facebook link in the description and contact me directly. That's my personal Facebook, and I do check it daily, and I check it throughout the day. And I also check my spam folder. So if your message does end up being filtered for some reason, I will come across it and respond to you personally. So, Stardust. This is a film that I forgot existed. With 2020 being the year it was, it's not easy. It's not hard to see, rather, how it would be difficult for something like this to fly under the radar, especially with the lack of promotion behind this film. It was not backed by Bowie's estate. It was not given the blessing as, say, Bohemian Rhapsody was by the surviving members of Queen, or Rocket Man was heavily endorsed and praised by Elton John. This film was not really touted as much of anything. So I was curious. Someone had mentioned this in a review of the current David Bowie documentary that's playing in select areas, Moon Age Daydream, which I have yet to see, but I've heard great things about and am eagerly anticipating seeing it. In the meantime, though, a gentleman who was reviewing it mentioned Stardust and how he did not like it. So I thought to myself, as a David Bowie fan, I owe it to myself to check Stardust out. And I was able to find it on Hulu to stream. And it's something that I intend to add to my David Bowie DVD collection, or rather, Blu-ray, as I will get the Blu-ray of this particular film. And allow me to explain why. Early on, when I was discovering David Bowie's vast catalog of material, one of the first albums I purchased on CD, in fact, was The Man Who Sold the World. And The Man Who Sold the World is an album which is mentioned by name in this film. And it is an album that Bowie was really sort of counting on catapulting him and his band into the limelight. Unfortunately, the album was not critically accepted anywhere at the time. And I remember getting this album, listening to it, and just hearing utter brilliance. And to this day, it's still one of my favorite David Bowie albums. So that was curious to me, and the film itself stars John Fleeman as David Bowie. He does a phenomenal job playing the role of a sort of pre-Ziggy Stardust David Bowie. And that's really where the film falters, though, because it focuses on that time frame prior to Bowie's success with Ziggy Stardust. There is a sort of featured element of Ziggy, and that's in the final minutes of the film. But prior to that, the film focuses on Bowie's struggle to find himself, find his identity, and along the way create an alter ego for himself, an identity to perform under, as he was really uncertain of who he was as an individual and insecure of letting his natural self out at that stage in his life due to concerns in his personal life. So it's really understandable that he had this crisis of uncertainty as far as who am I? And The Man Who Sold the World is really an album that depicts that rather well. Unfortunately, the film, being that it did not have the blessing of Bowie's estate, they were unable to utilize David Bowie material to a great extent. And there are some references to song lyrics. There are mentions of album titles, song titles. But the film is very vague as far as staying away from playing any of that due to copyright issues, which I can understand. When David Bowie did his first trip to America, it was, as it was depicted in this film, very much a promotional tour for The Man Who Sold the World, but he was not allowed to perform per se in a publicized manner. So he was relegated to playing these sort of inappropriate type of settings for someone who a year later would be world renowned as one of the most revered performers and songwriters of our era. Yet, seeing that vulnerability and the way John Flyman portrays him and really emphasizes the emotion that the scenes require. It has me, and it had me from the first scene. There is such an emotional feeling to this film. But I can see where Bowie fans would have been disappointed, especially fans that are more knowledgeable of the hits or even just lesser known material who want to hear something that they know. In this film, Stardust, you hear the story of David Bowie's early years. You hear selected performances of songs that, for the most part, I'm guessing, are considered public domain material. And this is kind of where it gets interesting for me. There is a scene where he is playing a song called The Port of Amsterdam. And when I heard this song, I got so excited. I thought, it's the Port of Amsterdam. And I do realize that not a lot of people know this song. I became aware of it by accident. It was a bonus track on the Ryko disc issue of Pinups, which was, of course, David Bowie's classic covers album from the early 70s, where he covered songs from his favorite artists. And there were two outtakes, I believe, on the album, and The Port of Amsterdam happened to be one of those outtakes. And it was actually my favorite song on that CD, even though it wasn't featured on the original album. So I heard that and I was floored, and I thought, this is spectacular. And it sounds like John Flyman actually sings the parts as well. So that's also interesting and impressive. He could have been really embraced, and I think that this film would have served as a perfect first episode for a series on David Bowie's life, with John Flyman playing Bowie throughout the bio series. However, it was not intended as such, and did not amount to that. Instead, it tells the story of Bowie struggling to find himself, to find who he is. And in doing so, he creates this alter ego persona who we would come to know as Ziggy Stardust. And it's mainly because he can't seem to be himself, because he's not sure who he is, at least at that point in time. So pretending he's someone else is the better choice, in his mind at least. There's a scene where his manager gets him an interview for a magazine, and he's talking about miming and how he was trained as a mime, which is accurate. I believe Bowie was trained by Lindsay Kemp, who would go on to teach Kate Bush in interpretive dance and miming. So Bowie was excellent even at that, but in the United States, miming at that point in time, in the early 1970s, or even any time really, it was never something that was taken seriously. Bowie did not know this. It was a cultural, um, a cultural faux pas, and he learns throughout the film these little nuggets of how to present himself to people in the US as opposed to the UK. And he also learned a lot about just the culture of the country from traveling around city to city doing these little interviews here and there. And once he returns to the UK and you see him sit down at the piano and with sheet music all around him, you know that Hunky Dory is the next step. And subsequently the Ziggy Stardust era. And it really, it gave me goosebumps when I saw that scene of him sitting at the piano, just kind of fumbling around on the keys, and his ex-wife, Angela, asking what he was doing, and he, responded working on new material or writing new material. I forget how he phrased it. And he was very much in his zone. And of course, Hunky Dory would yield changes, Life on Mars, the Andy Warhol song, so many classics. But it was a precursor to the Ziggy Stardust album to follow, and then Aladdin Sane. And the rest is history. But this early glimpse into Bowie's life and into his psyche is just so enlightening. This film is really underrated. If you're not bothered by the fact that you're not going to hear familiar material and you like excellent acting, a phenomenal screenplay, great direction, sound design is actually phenomenal in this film too. Everything is really wonderful. John gives Bowie the sense of a man searching for answers, searching for himself amongst individuals telling him what he needs to be and who he should be and who he has to be. But when that all fails and comes crashing down, and he's told to just be someone else, he embraces that. And you see that from the actor, you see that as a reflection of what Bowie had probably went through. So, I cannot say enough good things about Stardust. I highly, highly recommend this. Like I said, if you're not particularly bothered by a film not showcasing songs that you know and simply focusing on the story elements and the acting and the historical events, this film is definitely something to check out. I give it a 5 stars out of 5 stars, and I can't say enough good things about this film. It would have been nice if it was endorsed by David Bowie's estate, so that we could have gotten material played in the film Space Oddity, maybe even The Laughing Gnome, which is a song that's referenced, at least by name. Some of the lyrics are quoted from The Man Who Sold the World, specifically. But other than that, you don't get to hear actual Bowie songs. You get to hear John Flyman, I can only presume, performing these songs himself and doing a bang up job at this as well. So, check out Stardust and let me know what you think in the comments below if you have seen this film. And if you're not inclined to leave your comment where it can be seen, shoot me a message on Facebook. I'm more than happy to engage in a dialogue about this. This is Rob with Media Awareness. Once again, if you do like my content, click the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload something new. On my channel, I cover music, I cover films, I am planning on covering literature. I've yet to do so, in addition to some more esoteric topics and the occasional relevant film or music related topics in general. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.